Welcome to the Earth Your Wild podcast, brought to you by Reusabox, providing a better way to buy cardboard boxes. We're your hosts, Jack and Ellie.
This is the podcast where we talk to industry experts and change makers to try to answer the question, how do we make our businesses better for people and the planet? So this week we're joined by Ed Crowther, founder of My Square Metre. Ed founded My Square Metre in 2021 to help rebuild wildflower meadows, which have become one of the rarest habitats in the UK. Ed is also a TEDx speaker and was recognised as one of Lincolnshire's 30 under 30 in 2022. Thanks for joining us, Ed.
Ah, nice to be here. With another 30 under 30 in the room as well.
Yeah. Ed, so let's say someone who's listening has never heard of the concept of micro offsetting before.
Yes.
How do you describe what micro offsetting is, and how does My Square Metre help with that?
Okay, so offsetting in general has it's got quite a bad rap, really, because originally when it first came out, a lot of people, and I think some of them genuinely thought they were doing a good thing, thought, here are all of my emissions. I can get rid of that through planting trees and a load of other offsetting problems. The problem with that is it takes years and years to get that carbon out of the ground and either into trees or into the ground, and that causes problems because that means there's still more carbon in the atmosphere, still heating things up and causing and reaping a little bit of havoc. So the difference with micro offsetting is it's more targeted and focused on a very specific activity, and like a smaller activity as well. So it's not we're taking this ship with its whole crew from this place to this place. It's more you're sending an email, you're tapping your credit card, and all of those things which cause a very small amount of carbon to just through their processes. That a bit of carbon ends up being in the atmosphere, and then that offsets those very small things. So it's a bit more targeted, and I guess it's micro.
Some people might say, but Ed, surely offsetting my credit card purchase or my email isn't really going to have much of an impact. What would you say to those people?
I'd say to those people that about 7% of all carbon at the moment is produced by online activity, and a lot of that could not be. So things like making websites more eco-friendly, so like compressing images better and video. If you're one of those people who likes to watch YouTube videos but then also sit on their phone at the same time, so you're not really watching it, chuck it in a lower quality, because you'd be saving a lot more processing power in downloading all of that information. So I guess that's one way you could do it.
Yeah.
So if someone decides they want to start offsetting some of their activities, how does it work then with what you do?
Good one. We like to follow the reduce, reuse, recycle protocol. I think that's the best way. So first off, if you go onto our website, you can have a look in all of the things that we would offer to offset. There's a way of reducing that thing first. For example, Spotify, if you listen to the same 90s R&B playlist all of the time, just download the playlist. Then you're downloading it once rather than streaming it every single time and downloading over and over again. It's always good to listen to a bit of new music or podcast you might not want to re-listen to, then that's understandable. But yeah, for things that you're going to repeat listen to, give that a download. That's the reduce section. But then obviously for the things that we have to do in our day-to-day lives and we can't really avoid it, that's just the way the system's set up, then things like emails, which are probably the greenest option in most cases, then you can come to us and we can plant some wildflowers and help offset those small things.
And is it like a subscription where you would like offset all your emails for the month, or how does it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, to be fair, I found this one really hard to crack, and we haven't cracked it yet because, because it changes for everyone every month. You might go through an intense month where, if you're buying a house, you're going to be emailing many times a day, or if you, I don't know, are organizing something, huge amount of emails going out, and then the next month, you might get one email from your auntie. So it's very difficult to work out how many are going to be in. So you can just go on and choose roughly how many you do in a month, or you can subscribe and or you can just get your data from your email provider. There we go. And put that straight in, so you get an exact amount every month. But if you're doing it subscription wise to save yourself some time, I'd probably just add maybe 20% on just to be safe.
So why wildflowers? What are the benefits of wildflowers?
Biggest benefit of wildflowers is going to be the biodiversity benefits, because I know I've spoken a little bit about carbon, and in fact, let's talk about the carbon, because one of the benefits of wildflowers and the way they take in carbon is they sequester carbon. So they're actually putting carbon into the ground. When you look at a lot of the other offsetting programs, they're looking at the tree growth. So they're looking at all of the carbon that's going inside the tree, the carbon that the tree's sucking out of the air. And the tree will be sequestering, putting some carbon back into the ground. But most of the carbon that's being recorded is going to be in the tree trunk, in the branches itself. Whereas for wildflowers, they're a little bit better at getting the carbon attached to it dissolves into some water inside it, and then the water and some sugars get passed down to little microbes in the soil, and then eventually, as those microbes die and everything, that the carbon finds itself attached to different minerals. That means it's sequestered and stored in the ground, and then that's stored there for like 70,000 years, which is a bit different to a tree, which a tree in a forest, once it's fallen over and decayed, that carbon will be re-released.
Oh, I see. When the tree grows, the carbon's in the trunk.
Yes.
And then if the tree gets cut down or burn or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there was sequester some in the ground as well, but the kind of what we're doing at the moment is we're biding ourselves some time by planting loads more trees.
I suppose how long do the trees normally live as well? I suppose they don't live 70,000 years, right? They've got
like some case like up to 1,000 or a couple of thousand years for some of the oldest trees, but most like a few hundred.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because if they're replacing themselves, which if they're looked after really well will do, you're kind of creating this whole carbon stock. You're taking all of the negative stuff we have, the excess we have in our atmosphere at the moment. So it kind of bides us kind of like 50 to maybe 150 years of tree planting and offsetting that way to decarbonize. But then with things like wildflowers, you get that much longer term sequestration, and we record that through soil cores and all of that kind of stuff. And some very clever scientists do some stuff to the soil cores to tell us how much carbon's in it.
Is it because we at Reuse a Box, so like every time we get people to reuse boxes, we say like we're keeping trees in the ground, but we're also, every box that's reused, we're funding reforestation. So we're planting a lot of trees, but I notice like, a lot of the trees, they'll like die or they don't make it, and they, for whatever reason. And I know those trees, they have to, grow for like 20 years or something to, I'm not a technical person.
They have to grow before they start sequestering carbon.
Yeah. But it's like my point is it's quite a long time frame. I'm just thinking with like wildflower meadows, is it beneficial that I'm guessing it's quite a short time span, like they're not here for very long, is that right?
Yeah, so they start sequestering quicker, which is one benefit. And as you said, roughly about a fifth of trees planted. So even if a really good tree planter were doing this, about a fifth would die anyway.
Yeah.
So you can see that like a lot of projects are. Yeah, there are a lot of really good projects that are doing it so well with really good foresters, but There have been in the past a few cowboy projects where people have gone, oh, I'm just going to plant a load of trees in this patch over here, and I'm going to like sell the offsets, and then for only to return a few years later, and it's just a load of those plastic protector things somewhere in the field. So that there's been a little bit of that, which isn't great, but there's also a lot of really good stuff that's going on. A big problem is the skills shortage, because there's going to be a lot more trees and a lot more forest, and to stop diseases from spreading, and to stop things like deer management is really important. Part of the reason why so much woodland in the UK is really old and dying, we've got more deer in the UK than we've ever had, and they're going into these woodland areas, eating up all of the new growth.
Right.
That means we've just got a load of aging trees and no new ones growing. So it takes some really good foresters to be able to make a patch of woodland or a forest really thriving, and there's not enough of those at the moment.
Is it's like wildflower meadows, are they more, is it like less maintenance, is it like less that can go wrong, or how do they kind of stack up?
So they do need maintenance, and there is a few things that can go wrong. So particularly if the soil's a bit too fertile, you get things like weeds and thistles and things which can come and take over, which great for pollinators. Thistles are wonderful things, but they can take over and start lowering the diversity of flowers that are in a meadow if you don't manage them properly. And one of the ways you can do that is just before when you can see they're going to seed, just cut them all down so they're not getting their seeds out there. Or another way, because this is the only way we'd really use this, but you can just get a small amount of like Roundup or glyphosate on a paintbrush in a tiny pot. So you just go around with a little paintbrush in a tiny pot and just paint it on the leaves of each one. Right. So then you're not spraying, it's not getting into the soil anywhere near as much. But it is a really effective way of getting rid of any of those pestings that might come up in the meadow a bit too much. Other than that, it's just managing it, trying to work out if you cut it down once or twice a year. Because once again, if all of the nutrients of all the growth goes back into the ground, you're encouraging more of that thistle growth. So you take all of that off. Then we hot compost it, which helps. If you hot compost it, it stores a bit more carbon in the soil itself.
What's hot composting?
It's it's quicker than normal hot composting. So rather than just making a big pile of stuff and waiting for it to rot down, you're rotating it and aerating it a bit more, and it gets very hot. So can be between I think 40 and 70 degrees in there.
Really?
So, yeah, it gets
just hot, like decomposing,
and it decomposes super fast. So I think you can get it down in like 40 to 90 days, depending on how good it is and what's in it. Then from there you've got some nice compost which you can use for other things. So obviously you wouldn't put that back in the meadow, but you can use that on allotments and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I guess it just shows you need to know what you're doing, whether it's wildflower meadows or trees, which is why I guess we need companies like yours to to do these things. Is it true that we've lost? I read online 97% of our wildflower meadows since the 1930s.
Yeah, that's about right.
What kind of impact has that had on biodiversity?
I mean, if you look at any of the graphs on biodiversity, they're going down quite steeply. So I think in everything from I think, depending on which statistics, there's so many different statistics that come out, but you're looking at about a 25 to 40% loss in small birds and those kind of things. So there's a lot of less insects for those to be eating. You're looking at massive decline in pollinators, and it's kind of looking at this kind of it's an ecosystem that it just plays. Wildflower meadows play one part of an ecosystem, and They have for millennia been managed, so they're not really. I guess in the past they were used a lot for hay, and horses and those kind of things. A lot more like grasslands, I should say, were used for that kind of thing, and they've been taken away. I say taken away. They've been replaced with a newer kind of agriculture. It's only now that I feel like the rest of the world started listening to the ecologists that have been screaming at us for like the last 50 years going, this is really bad news. But it's really cool that there is a lot of nature recovery going on now. There's not quite enough. That 97% you mentioned is an area roughly the size of Wales that was covering. So that the 3% that's left, you could say, is maybe like, I don't know. Think of a Welsh town. it's like one of the Welsh states that say like Llanelli or something like that. That's like that area is roughly what's left of older wildflower meadows. And
why is it? I mean, I'm guessing, is it just like agriculture and building and stuff, or why is it we've lost so much so quickly?
Yeah, I think just value wise, we didn't appreciate the soft values. Instead, it was like, oh, that there could be corn or potatoes on here, and so yeah, they were replaced with those kind of things rather than what we might see as soft benefits now, which are things like having more biodiversity and the benefits that are there for farmers. Because obviously, if farmers can't pollinate a lot of their crops, they're going to struggle. So there's so many benefits to having more biodiversity around.
I suppose if they're struggling with that as well, then they probably use more like fertilizers and stuff, and then that makes it even worse. And
yeah, I mean,
more of a vicious cycle.
The big problem with fertilizers is it's like giving the plant everything it needs straight away. The plant doesn't have to work for it, and that leaves out some of the microbes in the soil. Because previously, what had happened, these nice little microbes would get some nitrates, and then they'd work their way all the way up to the roots of the flower, hand the nitrates over, and the flower would go, oh cool, here's some water and some sugar, and there'd be this nice swap. But now the microbes are kind of being made redundant by a lot of the fertilizer that's being put into the land.
So it's not that the fertilizer's killing the microbes.
It's just that the plant goes, oh, I don't really need to feed those. I can just get this nice tasty nitrate straight away.
And then I suppose each year it becomes less and less fertile. And
so soil biodiversity is a massive science, and you can speak to, I don't know if it's a thing, but like a soil ecologist, someone who's well into soil. We don't know most of the microbes that are in it. There are so many that they haven't been mapped. There's millions and billions, so we don't know exactly what makes up soil, but it's very much a living thing. And I mean, obviously you can do things like key indicator studies. So one of the things we do in all the meadows is just quite a simple worm count. So there's we check for 3 different types of worms. So some of them they tend to move vertically up and down, some of them move horizontally, and we check for 3 different types, and that can give you a bit of an indicator as to how your overall soil health is doing, because it means it's aerated enough, it's well draining enough to be able to support these worms.
So the idea is if you're planting meadow for people, then we're kind of restoring that biodiversity, and the soil's becoming more nutritious, and
all those things. That's pretty much it. It just kind of fits in with all of nature recovery. So if you were to plant, I think it's 44 square meters of meadow, there is enough nectar in that to have enough insects to feed a family of sparrows. So there's like, I like to play with statistics, so we use quite a lot of those kind of things. I mean, yeah, very lucky that in this country there's been a lot of botanists who have been very
Right.
nerdy and have spent a lot of time doing a lot of that. So there's actually a really cool. That sounds so lame. It's a really cool Excel sheet with the amount of nectar you'd get per flower, so you can kind of look at your fields and see what kind of flowers you've got, and you can get a total kind of like weight of the sugars and nectar that's in there, and from that you can infer, say, how many particular insects are going to be there, and yeah, you can rely on a few other studies and work out roughly how many there'd be, and then you look at how much a sparrow eats or how much a family of sparrows eat, and then make the connection there.
Nice.
So lots of time on Google Scholar.
Yeah, I was thinking that, well, you're kind of like our ideal kind of podcast guest, because you've got like the big idea, right? This is the idea. People can use our service to offset their daily habits. But I was quite curious to kind of understand where you came from and why or how you set this up.
Yeah.
What's the story?
I mean, great question. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, really. I guess I grew up in quite a rural town. In fact, we're in Newark at the moment, so I grew up in Southwell, just down the road.
Wow, close.
Yeah, which is nice and close. And I think a lot of growing up, because it's a very lovely town. There are lots of trees, lots of a lot of small farms rather than massive, huge farms, which does make a difference. So I think if you grew up there, you'd just assume there's no problem with biodiversity, because it's a very nice area. It seems like everything is thriving pretty much. But then leaving there, and I spent a little bit of time in London, that kind of stuff, you start to realize that, oh my gosh, there are a lot of areas which are nowhere near as nice as that. And there've been like lots of little triggers. So whether it's something that you've learned at school, something that you've watched, something that you've seen. But I remember I was walking along the canal near Regent's Park, where there's a zoo there somewhere in London.
Okay.
Big sign out the front which said something along the lines of there used to be 20 or 30 million hedgehogs in the UK. Now it's into like the hundreds of thousands.
Really?
Which had really gone down. I was like, that can't be right. That looks like a shock statistic. And then you go and check it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's real. That's legit. That's true. So yeah, lots of those little trigger moments. And then I went up to this very big estate up in Scotland, which was beautiful, and it was owned by some billionaire guy, and he was like rerouting the rivers and making them more wild. He was planting loads of trees. He was like putting up meadow, and I was like, I'd love to be able to do that. Like you kind of seen ecological decline, and would love a way to be able to help that. But there's nothing that you can really do by yourself. Like, yes, you can maybe make your garden a bit better, and that is very important, because particularly in cities, there's not a huge amount of space for biodiversity. And the one kind of like kooky family who are like, oh, we're not going to mow our lawn and we're going to have a bug hotel and all that kind of stuff, isn't enough. There needs to be a lot of that in cities. So people can do stuff in their own areas, but I didn't want it to be. I didn't like the idea of nature recovery just being a thing that a load of billionaires were like, oh, we'll sort it, you don't worry about it. But I wanted it to be a thing where anybody or any small business could feel involved and actually be involved in being able to help. So I guess that's where I was like, oh, if we just kind of split it up to a manageable amount, they could almost crowdfund that. So that's the whole idea of like the My Square Metre. It's because it's
like crowdfunding wildflower meadows.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's the idea. Kind of wanting to democratize it, really, because if you look at the whole nature recovery space, there's a few very loud voices in it. They're amazing. They do so much good work, but it really needs to be an inclusive thing, because it's all of our planet. it's all of us who are relying on it, and I feel like you miss out something massive if you don't bring other people along with you. If you just sort it for them, then you kind of missed the main problem there. There's a chance to change behavior for everyone.
There seems to be a big disconnect between people and nature in a lot of ways, and I feel like we need to remind people or educate people a bit more, which is, it's really sad really, isn't it? Because we're all part of nature, and yet I think so many people just don't understand, like, the biodiversity crisis, don't think about climate change, or don't want to think about it. How do you feel about that? Do you find it overwhelming, or do you see it as like an opportunity to like make a difference?
So, I mean, I guess it is a little overwhelming, because you can disconnect quite a lot often. You can kind of go, you repeat it quite often, like, 97% of meadows are gone, all of this kind of stuff. But then every now and again, something will come along that makes you like feel it, and that's a totally different experience, because you can't really detach from it. So even on the way over, actually, I was listening to a Guardian podcast, and they played some sounds from the same bit of woodland from like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and then this year. And it goes from being so loud with so many birds, and then this year was actually silent. And it's
eerie.
It's really eerie. And but yeah, like that kind of thing is, I think, going to be a lot better at talking to people about it. You need to talk about it in a more emotional way rather than just a purely statistical way. Because and it is scary, but then at the same time, there have been like isolated spots in the world where terrible things have happened, whether it's been famines, droughts, and all of this kind of stuff, and then suddenly nature manages to recover in that area really fast. So if we give it space to, and give it a bit of time, and maybe with our limited and slightly ignorant knowledge, give it a bit of a push in hopefully the right direction, it can all happen quite quickly, and it's not all lost, but it's getting very close to that crunch point. And for a few species already, that's already, I mean, they've already met their crunch point, which is very sad. Yeah, we don't particularly have a huge amount of biodiversity in the UK compared to, like, say, the Amazon jungle or something. So it feels, I mean, it's not more weighty at all. That all species are important, but it feels, especially as a person from the UK, a bit like particularly sad when something ends up going from the endangered to the extinct list.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, because we're so sort of far removed from nature in our everyday life, it's easy to sort of forget.
I think the only maybe positive thing from the pandemic was that people started to reconnect a bit with nature, didn't they? And you could see that most people, that going out for their walk every day, we all started to get back into nature, and I hope that's continued. But sometimes I speak to people and I just feel like there's just no like awareness there, and people don't really care, and it makes me sad. How can we like?
I think it's really nice how you've built your platform or your service where people can like choose their email or their coffee or their commute to work or something. I think that's very nice, because it kind of, I feel like it's closing the gap almost between kind of that disconnect with nature, because it
educates as well. It's saying like, this is your impact, and here's something you can do about it as a solution as well, which is really nice. Because I think most people don't even think about it. They're just on their phones all the time, buying things, sending emails. Like you don't even think about it.
No, you don't. But at the same time, it'd be very easy to come across as being very, very judgy. And I don't think it's about that at all. In fact, most of the changes that you could make, you could actually be a benefit to your everyday life rather than a hindrance. Like, not suddenly asking people to, change absolutely every single aspect of their life and go and live in a small holding in a small hut somewhere. Although for a lot of people that would be the dream.
I'll do it.
But yeah, I guess one of the, in fact, probably the next campaign I think probably going to try and get out there is I don't think there should be any room for things like arachnophobia in the UK after in the next few years. We should really just try and get rid of it, because there's no spiders that can really hurt us. They're all of our friends. And
although I heard something, apparently, if you've got a spider in your house, and most people think, well, I'll just catch the spider, if you're not going to kill it.
Yeah.
I'll catch the spider because everyone's scared of it, and I'll put it outside, and then, it'll be okay. It'll crawl off somewhere. Apparently, when you do that, the spider dies because it's obviously come into your house for warmth or for some reason. So you're actually just killing the spider anyway. So what you should
in a really slow way.
What you should actually do is just let the spider live in your house. I'd have to give it a spare room or something, and just give up that room forever.
But once again, the more time you spend with them, because it's really sad. My last car's gone, and I didn't manage to find him in time.
Right.
So he's sat somewhere in a junkyard at the moment. But yeah, I had a little spider that lived in my car.
Right.
He was good friends. He'd hang around. But they're good at catching annoying like flies and mosquitoes that can be in there. There's very few spiders in the UK that can hurt you, and apparently there's one now that can. But that's like the false widow spider.
Let's not talk about that.
But then even with them, they're not aggressive. They're defensive. So you get aggressive spiders attacking ones and defensive ones. They're defensive. So if you go anywhere near it, it's going to run away from you. It's only if you are like trying to poke and prod it or anything. But yeah, they're cool to have in the house. I like them. So,
do you think we're at risk of them just dying out then if we don't drastically change collectively?
A lot of I was using that more as an example of how we could maybe get a bit more used to nature, especially if we're looking to. I think the plan is to rewild like 30% of the UK, and I think Europe's agreed to 20% for every country there, which is great news.
It's huge.
Which is it's huge. Obviously, there's some skills gaps which need to be addressed to be able to get that there. So I would say to anyone who's listening to this podcast who currently hates their job or is wanting to find something new in their life, great opportunity. Like train and get involved in helping out nature, which is it's so like my first ever job was working on an organic farm, just picking onions. It's so good. you wouldn't think it, but you're just out there with a wheelbarrow, you've got some headphones on, you're just picking a load of you feel good. It's really nice being outside doing stuff, which is
I suppose it's like a whole new economy that's sprouting up around trying to fix these problems.
The global risk, financial risk of biodiversity collapse is $58 trillion, which is I don't even know what the whole global economy is, but it sounds like it's probably a few years worth. So yeah, absolutely huge amount. But I think that's kind of just has to be what they reckon humanity's worth, because there wouldn't really be any life if there was total biodiversity collapse. So yeah, all good fun, all the positive things. But that's not to scare anyone, because there are things like the Paris Agreement, which says we need to try and keep it under 1.5 degrees, and on the climate scale, and there's been lots of mass extinctions before. So it's not saying that there'll literally be nothing in the future, but it just means that there'll be a lot less, and things will be potentially
really
a lot harder.
Comparison.
And totally worth fighting for keeping what we've got as much as possible. So yeah, there's not to be like total doom and gloom. There's and
there are opportunities, aren't there? Like you said,
definitely, and it also means that any generation that's alive at the moment can go down in history as being the ones that have done it. So it's like it's a great time to kind of leave a generational mark of pride on the world by helping out the planet being a lot greener and saving a lot of insects and birds and small mammals, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose there's a bit of a kind of like a purpose crisis, right, with a lot of people, especially a lot of young people. Yeah. So, it's nice that there's an opportunity for people to get more meaning and purpose in their life, which it sounds like you have.
Yeah, I mean, so before doing this, I spent a lot of time DJing. So right. I spent about 10 years DJing, and it's true that you'd leave a club at 3 a.m. and you'd see like a couple of guys fighting over there, someone throwing up, someone lying on the floor, like with their friends around them crying. Like you're walking around, and you're like, oh, that's like you feel a bit responsible for it. It's like, oh, that's
feel a bit disgusting.
I'm causing this. I'm trying to like, yeah, through music selection, I'm trying to get people to drink more drinks, and this is where they are now. But yeah, it's so much more purposeful to go out there and just be in a field and plant a load of flowers. And there's so much excitement that comes with it as well. And it sounds, I'm excited by it, but it probably sounds really lame. But it's things like when you find there's a new beetle in your area, and you're like, oh, cool. There's we found on one of the sites we're working on, found some stag beetle larvae, which is really rare for them to be this north in the country. And you go, oh, no way, that's really cool. These are here. So yeah, there's a huge amount of purpose in it. And the economy for it is going to be very big. So it's a good chance for anybody to get involved in that, because like 30% of the UK, that's like the equivalent amount of I think farming's about a fifth of the UK. Yeah. So that's like getting almost half as many farmers again, but purely just in the realms of ecology and nature management, which is there's going to be a lot of work there.
Big project.
Yeah.
And so going back to My Square Metre, so obviously you're like 3 years in now?
Yeah.
So I guess you're kind of getting quite a lot of projects under your belt. What are the kind of, I was interested to understand kind of like some of the success stories and that you've got. And
yeah, I think so. The first year was kind of a write-off for us, because I think
it's COVID, right?
So it's just coming out of COVID, and what did I do? I mean, I kind of set it up with the idea, and I was like, cool, we'll do this. I'll get some land, and we'll do this, and we could maybe do this. And then suddenly I found out that there was a ridiculous amount to learn. I was lucky enough that I'd set up in an office at Lincoln Uni and managed to get some funding to have the ecology department come and do some work with me. So I had 20 days of an ecologist lecturer's time to sit down and ask her questions and go through things, and learn a huge amount. So kind of didn't really do any trading in the first year. Just spent a lot of time working with an ecologist and trying to get things working and going. Second year was a bit of investment into the new website and that kind of stuff. The old one was just a Wix one that looked like every other eco website in the world, that was just kind of like, here's lots of stock images and stuff. Whereas now I think we've managed to nail it a bit more, which is cool. So that's the journey until kind of our launch, not this Christmas, the Christmas before, of the kind of the new look and the having everything right, having the right kind of protocols, making sure that we're recording our soil data in the right scientific way, that we're recording biodiversity in the right way. Because it turns out there was a lot more to it than I thought. Then over the last, I guess the last year and a half, been doing a lot more planting for other people and stuff as well, which has been really good fun. So working on like a big biogas site, planting lots of wildflowers and hedgerow and trees and all of that kind of thing. I'm doing a project down in Sinsselbank in Lincoln, actually, which is very cool, because it used to be just concrete. It used to be washing areas where people would leave all of their washing out, but they just weren't getting used. So they're now some like little mini meadows in there. It's only about 250 square meters worth, but then we're going into a local school of that area later on this year to go and make some bug hotels for it and that kind of thing. So lots of cool projects like that. And then obviously we've filled one field's worth of square meters now. So now that's filled. That's just us maintaining it for the next 30 years, which, I'm excited about the whole 30-year thing, because I guess for that purpose thing, it means that that purpose is there for at least the next, at least for the next 30 years. So got one field all done now. So that was a fun achievement. And then we're a bit of the way into the next one. So looking at next patches of land, really trying to find.
It's easy to find land for this. Do you just is it like farmers let you use the land for it, or?
No, there's once again, I initially thought I'll just go on to Rightmove, search up some land, and like, there we go, I'll just get that patch. That one works. But there's a lot more to it again. So if you were so in Lincolnshire, it's I think it's 81% farmland. So if you were to go right in the middle of a lot of that farmland and plant a few acres of meadow, you would end up with almost an arc of like a nice little bit of biodiversity there. But quite quickly, you're going to start, it's going to have a negative impact on the genetics of those insects, because they're only going to be able to breed in a very small pool. So really you need to be connected to a much larger framework of biodiversity.
So if it's only a small area that you plant the insects?
Yeah, that when they make, because for some of them it's even like a weekly or a monthly process. It's very quick, but your genetic pool is very small,
right?
And you're potentially letting bad genetics grow, right. in the whereas if it's connected to these kind of like biodiversity highways kind of thing. So you absolute maximum, you want to be less than 3 miles away from any other nature project or something like that, but really you want to be a lot closer than that. And then there's a lot to think about in terms of extra benefits. For example, where the meadows we have at the moment are, there's a few trees with an owl box in, so we're keeping an owl very happy. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's like, and there's no, say if you just had fencing around and before it was into the next field rather than hedgerow, then you're not really even helping any of the birds.
I suppose it's all interconnected, isn't it? Have you read George Monbiot's Regenesis?
No.
So it talks a lot about regenerative farming, and it just makes me think, is there scope to work with farmers to kind of put these wildflower patches or hedgerows or all sorts of things, alongside their farming practices to,
for sure,
obviously make it more regenerative, better for nature, better for biodiversity. Because and you'd hope there'd be like government grants for that.
Yeah, I was just thinking surely the government should have some kind of strategy, and they should be thinking we need to.
So they do.
Farmers to,
Great book, by the way. Read the book.
I'll definitely read the book. So yeah, they already, and there are like wildflower strips that go on the side of a lot of fields that I'm sure you've seen. But the thing with the strips, which makes it slightly different to it being a permanent meadow, is you can almost describe them a bit like a motorway. It's a great place to travel from one place to the next. They can stop for food, a bit like stopping at a service station, get a little bit of energy, carry on. But insects really need three things, and food is only one of them. They also need a safe place to meet someone and to have children, which is
insect bars,
which is one of them. Which we have lots
insect
of
speed dating.
have all of those set up in the My Square Metre meadows. Lots of bars and nice restaurants. And then so you need a place for that, and then places to kind of sleep and to burrow into the ground, all of that kind of stuff. And the strips, some of them get ploughed up, some of them don't, some of them get left there, but the benefits are a bit different to a permanent meadow. So but so at the moment we're just kind of looking for patches, because it's for such a long time as well, because it's for 30 years. We could look at leasing all those kind of relationships, but there's always that risk factor of what if the farm changes hands and all of that kind of stuff. So it makes it a lot easier to just kind of get a few patches, and then it can be interesting. It can be left there for a really long time and just kind of be permanently meadowed. It's kind of it's a safeguard, really, because at the same time we don't want to be promising to anyone that we're looking after their wildflowers that they've planted and giving us the money for 30 years, and then to have to go, I'm really sorry, we made it to the 18th year, and then the government's decided to build HS3 and it's going so but there's quite a lot to choosing which land, but there's also a lot of help out there. So there are things like the Greater Lincolnshire Nature Partnership produce maps on where there's more need for biodiversity, and so you can kind of tap into those kind of things. And if you're really, really nerdy, you can spend some time on something called like Magic Maps, which is a government online map where you can pretty much look at anything habitat or species wise and just click on it, and it'll show you where that is or what's there. So if you want a particular kind of so if you want a calcareous grasslands, you can just click that and it'll show you where they all are.
Nice.
It's very cool.
I'm guessing a lot of Lincolnshire is just farmland, isn't it then? So it wouldn't be
so that's about 81%. Rest of the UK on average is 39%, so it's more than double. But it's one of those tricky things, because you don't want to demonize that, because it's also where we get a huge amount of our food, and then if we're not importing food,
that's better as well, isn't it?
Then that's
But then they're saying we've had such a wet winter, haven't we? That they're saying now there might be food shortages because they're not managing to get crops in the ground. So we're obviously starting to feel those effects of climate change. Do things like wildflower meadows, is that going to help that?
Yeah, I mean, we only do, we're not making it any worse, and hopefully making it a bit better through pollination. So we don't take any farmland that's grade 1 or 2, so would only use grade 3 or lower agricultural land or brown sites to plant meadows on. But as far as the whole farming sitch, that's a bit out of my remit.
I guess it would reduce the risk of flooding and things like that if you're planting. Meadowland's going to
much deeper roots, healthier soils, and all of that kind of stuff. So it would help in with flooding anywhere near to what it is. There's we also reserve a little bit of room, so just a little bit of background knowledge about how we work. It's about 4,000 square meters in an acre. It's actually 4,046 and a bit.
Right.
But we only calculate the 4,000, so we have an extra 46 square meters on every acre to play with. So that could be like log piles, that could be wetlands, that could be ponds, and all of that kind of stuff, which would help. As I said, help with things like flooding, but also help with some different types of biodiversity as well. Because obviously we want more bees, we want more butterflies, we want more beetles, worms, and all of that kind of thing. But you get even more if you start having things like big piles of decaying wood.
Can you tell us about Wildflower Week?
Yes, that's the first week of May coming up, and as of yesterday, or maybe today, it's a registered CIC,
Cool.
which is there to promote wildflowers because obviously they're pretty cool. So the website's pretty terrible at the moment.
Right.
This will go out after Wildflower Week, but we are filming this in the spring, I should just say. But
cool.
I guess it happens every year, right?
So it's first.
Just this one.
So first week of May, and the idea is to champion wildflowers and how cool they are, and also to get more to get provincial stores of wildflower seeds. So one of the things we want to be able to do in different communities and regions around the UK is provide places with equipment. It's quite rudimentary, actually. You just need an industrial. What do chefs have just above their extractor fan?
Right.
Okay. So an industrial extractor fan because seeds get very dusty. A few sorting sieves and that kind of things. A load of jars and some refrigeration, but there's a lot of benefits to using really local seeds. So a lot of the seeds you get commercially, they could be grown anywhere in the UK, and once again they're lacking a little bit of that genetic diversity, and if you get a poppy that was grown in Sussex and a poppy that was grown in Edinburgh, for example, if they've been from the same family of poppies for a really long time, they're going to be just slightly different. So exactly the same species, same genus, same everything, but they're just going to be slightly differently adapted to the areas and to the pollinators that are there. So getting banks of those seeds in the right areas will allow people who are wanting to create a meadow the chance to be able to get it from really locally, almost like ancient meadow seed sources. So that's Wildflower Week.
And what do you actually do on Wildflower Week? Like, you already said you're like championing wildflowers.
Yeah, so I mean, we're looking for because obviously this is going out after this one. So anybody who is particularly interested in wildflowers for the next week of May, if they want to run any workshops or anything like that, then just let us know. So it's a bit about advertising it, but a lot of it's just getting the community involved and around planting some wildflowers. So it might be that the community garden might want to add some wildflowers to their area or something like that. Then that would be a good time to do it.
And would you be saying people should be not mowing their lawns in May as well?
All about the no mow May.
No May, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's the Plant Life Initiative, and definitely not mowing is a great way. Obviously, you see so many more daisies, dandelions, all of that kind of thing. There you go, it's back to normal voice. So you get all of that kind of thing. It's just huge amount more just pollen in the area and saves you a bit of time and things as well, which is great. So yeah, definitely no mow May. It's
I wondered if you had if you could give just one piece of advice to our listeners. So our listeners are normally it's either small, medium businesses or people that work in those businesses that want to learn about how they can reduce their impact. So if you could give them one piece of advice.
Okay.
Just one.
Just one.
What would it be?
Oh gosh, the pressure. I think I'd go with consider the space that you've got and potentially how you might be able to boost biodiversity there. So that could be a bird box, a bee hotel, some wildflowers out the front. That could be planting some new trees, or very importantly, if you can, a tiny pond would be amazing. So if you do have any space in your business or outside your house, or that you might just have access to, I'd definitely consider doing something like that.
It's probably quite a healthy thing to do as well, to have a garden.
Yeah,
I don't have a garden, so that's why I'm saying that.
and can businesses offset through the
My Square Metre?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
sorry, I couldn't get my words out there.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm really bad at actually plugging that. But yeah, so anyone can come on. It's worth just kind of going on to have a little look at the calculator. It's just mysquaremetre.co.uk, and then just plug in some of your data, like your phone, your website, your emails, and then just see what it comes out with. And I'm a big believer in something's better than nothing. So obviously try and reduce where you can, but then if you want to do something, even if it's a small something, then let us know. Yeah,
and they can find that at My Square Metre.
Yeah, mysquaremetre.co.uk. Hopefully it'll come up if you Google it.
I Googled it, yeah.
Googled
it, yeah.
Nice.
The website's great as well.
Thank you very much. It's
really engaging how you give the facts, and people, like we said earlier, how you can see, the impact of a coffee or an email. And I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. So we have a closing tradition where we like to ask our guest where they see the world in 10 years, and obviously, how will you be part of that? How will My Square Metre be part of
that? Okay.
So where do you see the world in 10 years? Have we not got any spiders anymore? Or
So in 10 years' time, I think, big optimist. So I think we're going to be well on the way with nature recovery. Going to be some good stumbling blocks. I think the rhetoric with nature recovery is going to be similar to that of climate change. How there were some deniers or people who didn't really care, but that I feel like that switch will have turned in the next 10 years to it being an all out effort, and with a lot more nature, and it's a good time for people to start enjoying it now so they can be part of the journey.
Nice.
Hopefully, do you think we'll have rewilded more of the UK?
Hopefully 30%.
I mean, it's a very ambitious target, but I think there'll be some large areas. So it's difficult with rewilding. It's a very loaded term. So in my thoughts, that rewilding should be a wild area. For it to be truly wild, it needs to be huge, well into the square miles, rather than a small area. So while you might be able to rewild your garden to an extent, it's not wild. So hopefully we'll find the space and the public appetite to make that work.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We hope it was truly worth your while. For more information, visit reusebox.co.uk/worthyourwhile.
And if you'd like to appear on the next series of Earth Your While, please email media@reusebox.co.uk.